What is a clear sign of you getting older? 10 years ago feels like 2 years ago. 1990 is forever etched in my mind as 10 years ago. Time ended in 2000. That's why everything is so messed up now. I saw this somewhere yesterday. You live your 30s just like your 20s until the injury or the diagnosis. This is me. No injury, but a life-changing, not life-ending diagnosis, and the following ramifications. At 33, signaled the end of the good times and forced me to come to terms with my mortality. Now my Friday/Saturday nights consist of a couch, Cooper's Hawk, Home by 10, or D&D. Youth and life are precious, y'all. Don't waste it. When you are asked about your birthday online and you realize how much you have to scroll to get to your birth year, you don't dare leave the house without peeing, and you never fart in public. That can go wrong in a hurry. Media, songs, movies, games that you grew up with start being referred to as classics. The first time I heard Nirvana on the classic rock station, I died a little inside. When they tear down a building that you remember getting built. I used to use the pull-up bar to make my arms big. Now I use the pull-up bar to decompress my spine. It's also amazing for shoulder pain. I found myself just wandering around the aisles of Lowe's, not looking for anything in particular, and had a moment of self-clarity. I'm old. I had a painter over, 19 years old, that kept referring to me as a sir. Yes, I've noticed that. You become a sir, though you really don't feel like you possess the full power, authoritativeness, and gravitas of one worthy of the name. 58, male. Where do I start? 30s, didn't brush off that wipeout on my bike like I did in my 20s. 40s, had to stop eating like I was 20. Visits to my family physician became much more frequent. 50s, takes much longer to get out of bed. Back and joints ache continually. As I approach my 60s, my friend and family pool is getting smaller as they start to pass on. Spend more time reminiscing about the past than looking to the future. Life goes by quick, don't waste it. I wish there was a way to know that you are in the good old days before you've actually left them. Andy Bernard. I'll be 35 in 4 days and I miss all of my old friends that had families and moved on. If your friends are anything like me, they think about you and all the good times you had all the time, but never bring themselves to bother you by reaching out. You hear all types of pops and clicks in your body. If anyone asks me to do anything after 8 p.m., the chances of me going are slim, and the chances are even slimmer if I've already put on sweatpants. You get out of sweatpants. Well done. Working remotely has definitely made me feel like I'm dressing up when I put on jeans. Oh, I like their cabinetry while watching an exciting action movie. Who's going to pay for all of this after an explosion? When I watched professional sports and all the players looked like children, baseball, football, tennis, etc., you start doing the math and realize you're basically watching a glorified Pee-wee game. Old is when you have to do the math when someone asks you how old you are. Okay, it's 2022, subtract from 1945, and I'm 77. Valuing your sleep and at least trying to follow a decent sleep schedule. You start getting wisdom moments. Understanding why things happened and had to, being more compassionate towards mistakes of others because you're crappy yourself and you know it. This one hits it for me. I think I have become much more patient with idiots than before. I want to add though, I also see through the bullcrap and have no fear calling it out. Now, I mean, who's going to smack some old man for mouthing off? Yikes. Making noises when sitting up and down. Our dog is getting old, and whenever she stands up, she makes these little groaning noises. I thought it was cute and funny until the day I realized that I too make those noises whenever I stand up. Maybe she's mocking you. There was a man in the UK who hurt his leg and needed crutches, and then his dog started limping. Took her to the vet, and apparently there was nothing wrong with her, and she was just doing it out of sympathy. That 2 decades ago is no longer the 1990s. Sometimes I catch myself thinking the 90s were only a decade ago. The adults in your life start dying. Man, I'm really sorry to many of you for the losses that you've had to deal with. My inbox has been a tough read for the last few hours. Wait until you hit 40. They drop like flies. It's insane how quickly your life can depopulate. I'm in my early 40s. I literally just attended the funeral of my best friend from my childhood this past Thursday. Died the day after his 42nd birthday from a coronary event. After going my first 15 years or so without anyone I knew dying, my last 25 years has been a series of deaths and funerals. My dad, grandparents, family, friends, a ton of kids from my high school. Before it used to be extended people or older relatives, but here lately it's people I know or knew well, and no longer car accidents but terminal illnesses and things. Scary stuff. I genuinely, not sarcasm, not a meme, have no idea what slang teenagers use these days. I have absolutely zero context or exposure to any cultural influences teenagers even have. 40 is a weird age. Everyone older says you're so young. Everyone younger thinks you're so old. Congratulations! At 40, you are legally an older adult as defined by the Age Discrimination in Employment Act. I turned 40 in 2021. It's weird. Most people think I'm 30, and some have even said 20-something, so that's nice, but I freaking feel old, and always find myself mentioning my age with people I'm talking to because when I'm like, oh, I did this for 16 years and lived in this other city for 12 years, I get weird looks. I definitely feel like an older adult though. You often prefer a light dish to fried food because the latter is indeed tastier, but it's not worth the trouble. When you've seen multiple decades of fashion trends come back into play with the young crowd. So here are a few positive signs of age. You recognize something is a dumb idea before you do it. You handle your own crap / clean up your own mess rather than leaving it for someone else to deal with. Your immediate desire or impulse doesn't obscure every other factor when making an important decision. There are more, but you get the idea. Thank you for this. It's nice to see a positive even if I had to scroll this far down. This thread was seriously depressing me and I'm 29. Every decade is wonderful, if you acknowledge your presence in said decade. At 29, you're just beginning to see the bigger picture. Your 30s will be amazing. 40s amazing also. 50s again amazing. The key to enjoying life is to simply see what's around you and love it. Everything changes, so all you have to do is keep up. Shrek was released almost 22 years ago. Your address book includes many names of people who are either dead or you haven't heard from in years. Note, as I commented further down this thread, the address book referred to is my grandmother's from when she was alive. It's interesting to flip through the pages and see that most of the entries were crossed out by the time she died, meaning all those people are dead too. Having no idea what the latest trends are in pop culture, and not caring either. You have a serious and in-depth conversation with your friends about decent lawnmowers, weed killer, vacuum cleaners. Damn it, I was talking in earnest about home appliances and had to stop and realize, damn it, if this is relevant, then I'm old. People in positions of power being younger than you. Your primary care physician looks like she's about 17. Haven't gone to a wedding in a very long time. Have gone to a few funerals though. You are more aware of others wasting their time. Yes, and of wasting your time. My biggest pet peeve is people who don't respect other people's time. I don't want to set foot in a nightclub ever again. I'm old enough where the club girls don't check me out so much as keep an eye on me. When I was about 40, I got dragged to a club by some younger coworkers after a team dinner. I lasted about 5 minutes before having to tap out. The music and fog machine going full blast was like a living hell to me. The feeling of not waking up hungover sounds better to you than a night of partying. I get hungover without even getting wasted now. I used to sneak out of home to go to parties. Now I sneak out of parties to go home. Your next stage of old is not going to parties in the first place. Intolerance for loud noise. The older I get, the less I can stand it. I look out the window like a grumpy senior when I see kids blasting music out loud in their cars at my apartment complex. No one cares what you listen to. Turn it down. I don't care about how I look without makeup anymore. I've noticed this recently, a combination of the pandemic lockdowns negating any need for makeup and reaching a point in life where I don't give a crap. Plus I think our perception of what is good looking becomes more broad and generous as we get older. I appreciate my face more than I used to. You say to yourself, it's the end of January already? Kids born in 2010 are turning 12 this year. Kids born in 2000 are basically done with school. Most will have graduated college. If it makes you feel any better, some 2000s people are still in school because they started college later in life. Peer pressure is freaking stupid. What are you gonna do? Not let me sit at the cool kids table in the cafeteria of the eternal high school that you reside in? People of all ages participate in peer pressure. Even something as simple as pushing expectations of how your lawn needs to be kept in a neighborhood results in a lot of peer pressure. It's just how people often are. I'm not saying it isn't stupid, but it's stupid at any age. The entire concept of FOMO is essentially wrapped up in peer pressure/expectation. I don't recognize popular music artists now. I hate the popular music I hear, and have not desire to recognize the artists. You find teenagers irritating. Everyone finds teenagers irritating, including other teenagers. Back pain. Waking up every day with a new random pain somewhere. Probably partly some arthritis too. Hair growing in places where hair shouldn't be. Seriously, what is this bullcrap that I have to shave my ears now? Yeah, I was surprised this wasn't higher. When I was 30, I noticed a few gray hairs. When I was 32, I noticed more hair on my chest and back. When I was 34, I had to start trimming my nose and ears and eyebrows, and shaving my neck weekly, and my nipples were surrounded by fountains of pubes. It's like another freaking puberty, except your sex drive is slipping. Although I still picture myself as in my late 20s, and I'm always surprised when I say my age out loud. You don't understand the purpose of TikTok and take advantage of any opportunity to let others know that. Same. Why are we obsessed with mini YouTube? It's a continuation of fast consumption. There's so much information overload combined with the ever more pressing importance of time that only compresses one's attention span. I think there's going to be a cultural revolution sometime soon about slowing down and reclaiming one's time to be just sitting around being present, like fishing, but without the catching fish part. When the checkout girl at the local drug mart gave me a discount and I asked why the discount, and she said seniors discount. I was maybe 57 at the time. I didn't know whether to be outraged or happy about getting a few bucks off. Preferring to stay home than go out. So I'm slowing down and staying in as I enter in my mid-30s, but I see more and more younger people, 18 to 25, who aren't doing much at all. Actually, the internet has become a bit of an introvert filter bubble over the past years. I fully anticipate 21 to 22-year-olds to join this thread and say, I'm 22 and I feel this way, and the like. I actually feel like a bit of a curmudgeon who wants to shout, that's not how I was raised. You get back in the club and grind with the randos and you like it. It's weird being in your early to mid-20s at the moment because when we turned 18, we would go clubbing all the time. Then a couple of years later, when COVID hit, all of that just stopped all at once, and we didn't go back to the clubs for a whole year and a half. And when we did, we were surrounded by younger people who had never been, and a new etiquette developed entirely. And I don't know, it just feels different. That year and a half pause, going clubbing again at 21, surrounded by people 18 and 19 who had never been clubbing before, going absolutely nuts, made something flip inside my brain. Maybe the time off from it made me appreciate small gatherings and drinking in the comfort of my own or my friends' houses more. But the minor generational difference that spans from 18 to 21 became very apparent suddenly. Now I'm 22 and going out makes me feel so out of place. I'd much rather stick to pubs and more intimate settings for getting wasted. Not drinking because you can't risk a hangover, which lasts longer than one day. You no longer call your knees left and right, but good and bad. I sneezed the other week and threw my back out. I schedule plans with friends earlier and earlier every passing year. There's just something so satisfying about getting dinner and drinks at 6 p.m. and being back at home wearing my comfy fit, binging the show du jour by 9 p.m. Dad jokes are getting funnier. Getting? Was I born an old man? They've always been hilarious. You start to give fewer craps about others' opinions and actions and do more self-reflecting instead. When you stop going back to bed after getting up at night to pee and just put the coffee on. That greatly depends on which nightly pee I'm on. If it's my 11 to midnight pee, back to bed. 2 a.m. to pee, back to bed. 5 a.m. pee, might as well get up. Those are the standard 3. Every once in a while, I'll get a straggler 3:30 pee. When I have one of those, it's back to bed. The 5 a.m. pees are the worst. They make me so angry. More and more things annoy me. Yes, I'm 30 and I'm acting more and more like those old grumpy people I remember when I was younger. Turns out I'm becoming one, day by day. Come to think of it, maybe I thought they were old. They really weren't that old. Sorry. Roughly 80% of the musical guests on SNL I have never heard of. Also, you watch SNL. Time going by faster. Yep, and genuinely getting bothered by it too. It takes twice as long to look half as good. Exactly. Used to be so easy at even 35 to look cute. When I do wear makeup, I'm like, well, I still look 50. I get excited when I buy a new kitchen utensil or some other house-related thing. Napping more often. I woke up earlier today to get some work done just so I could have time to nap later. I genuinely get excited about going grocery shopping, doing my laundry, cleaning my bathroom, etc. I've learned to enjoy taking some time to run errands or chores because it actually expels a lot of my nervous energy that comes with the uncertainties of getting older. Listening to my 20-year-old sister tell me how in love she is with her BF after only 3 months of dating and thinking, God, did I sound like that? I don't want to be that person who craps on her parade, but hell, she's 20. She has no idea what it means to be in love. I'm married and I'm still learning what it means to be in love. That crap changes every day. I chalk it up to the honeymoon phase, but I'm not looking forward to when it finally calms down and she freaks out because it's not like what it was before. It's all just wild. Just for clarity, I have never told my sister these feelings. These were my experiences and these are my opinions that in no way should affect her. I distinctly remember being her age with everyone older than me raining on my parade about it and just digging myself in because I didn't want to admit that they were right. I sit, listen, offer support and advice when she asks, and keep my mouth shut with a full warning to her when she started dating that if he did something super shady, we were gonna have a serious talk. Otherwise, she's an adult and needs to meet new opportunities, make mistakes, and learn from them. I found this interesting because my divorced father-in-law recently met someone new and they're considering marriage after about 6 months. I think they know themselves much better and are far faster at knowing when they find a partner that works. That, or they see the reaper coming and have no time to waste. Right? My 70-year-old grandmother remarried and they're as happy as can be. I think it's just that she knows what she is about, knows what she is, and isn't willing to put up with, and found someone who meets her standards. I'm happy for her. I've never seen a happier man than her husband, but this is my sister's first boyfriend. Thankfully, he seems pretty mellow, but it's just like weird hearing her talk about how in love she is, and I'm thinking to myself, bruh, you don't even know. Crap, if you guys move in together, I can already see a few argument points. She's a neat and clean person and he is not. He is a go-with-the-flow kind of dude and she's the type of person who has a plan for everything and arrives early to events. Teacher here. We had a cold snap and they canceled school. I muttered, I remember when I went to school, we'd go if it was snow. Then I realized I had become the people who walked 15 miles to school in a blizzard up a hill. Either hair falling or turning gray. I've had gray hair since I was 14. I love it. Makes me feel wise. When you start to notice that your parents were right, time passes by so incredibly fast. Remember that delicious pizza you ate yesterday? Nope, that was 1.5 months ago. I went to a very young section of my city yesterday and they just pissed me off. I wasn't jealous of the fun that they were having, I was just mad because they were there. I can't even explain it. I know I went to the same places a decade ago, I did the same things, but for some reason seeing them just made my 33-year-old bones ache. I joked with my wife later. It's interesting to feel myself become the old man yells at cloud meme. You realize that nothing is so underrated as a fresh bed. Fewer spontaneous erections. The only time you are erect without considerable third-party stimulation is for the glorious 90 seconds after you wake up first thing in the morning. Always tired and waking up sore every morning. Little injuries and knocks used to disappear after a day or two. Now they don't disappear at all. You just start collecting reminders that your warranty has run out and you have to start doing preventative maintenance. When the person cutting my hair said, "You want me to clean up those eyebrows?" My guy always wants to clean up my neck, and I'm a woman. Referring to people under 30 as kids. I caught myself saying he was just a kid about Anton Yelchin recently, even though he was 27. Also, my knees sound like bubble wrap when I kneel down. Might be too late, but the biggest one for me is realizing and recognizing that my parents are getting older. In my childhood, they were these static, never-changing figures, but now they're older and I can see that. It's definitely pretty saddening and worrying. You turn down the radio to see better. the older I get, the younger the world seems. As I rapidly approach 50 and think about how quickly time has gone by, I start thinking about what happened 50 years before born. Now I'm considering a 100-year span, and it all seems so tangible. Then I start thinking about the 100 years before that, and suddenly we're just a handful of years from the Lewis and Clark expedition. I'm 83. When I was 18, I thought I would live forever. Now I'm afraid that I will. Complaining about prices. Given the current situation, people of all ages will complain about prices, especially young people who don't own houses or financial assets yet. I kinda just hate everyone nowadays. I guess that's what happens when one deals with shocking disappointment from people getting screwed over time and time again. That's probably not how it is for everyone. When your peers start dying of natural causes and not just car accidents and drug overdoses like when you were in your teens and 20s. When I found out a good friend of mine passed away from cancer at 39, I got a nice slap in the face by reality. You notice your favorite band is having a reunion tour and don't realize they had broken up in the first place. Getting a hangover after one drink. Truly understanding what MCR meant when they said, "Teenagers scare the living crap out of me." Classic rock includes Nirvana, Soundgarden, Smashing Pumpkins, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and other grunge bands. Making healthy choices because the alternative is not worth the trouble. Eat birthday cake? No thanks. Sugar makes me feel anxious and crappy for days. It always did, but it took me 33 years to connect the dots. Wild Molly Bender? I don't know if I feel like 3 hours of bliss followed by a week of depression and low energy. It's been 84 years. Realizing that the year 2000 was not in fact 5 years ago. Time speeding up. Drinking sucks more and more. My husband and I went out last night and I had 3 drinks with dinner. It was a long dinner because we watched the football game, but this morning I hated myself for it. Before I could have a 6-pack alone and just be fine, the next day with no problem. But now I drag ass. Less patience for idiots. A Walmart worker called me ma'am. It hurt, but then I realized I was parked for grocery pickup in my van listening to a podcast. It's happened. Getting excited about nesting things, home projects, yard work, decorating for holidays, new furniture. Also when you start congratulating your friends when they get pregnant versus the feeling of panic. You no longer worry about being imprisoned in a tall tower like Rapunzel. You understand that before, you'd have time to dehydrate or die of hunger. You could weave a rope out of nose and ear hair and rappel down to safety. Doing stuff because you need to. When you finish high school and then finish college, then get a job and move out, then get a serious partner, and you get hit with the realization there aren't really any more obvious life goals to shoot for. Now it's just the endless grind. You've reached the end game of all the milestones till retirement. More time has passed since that 70s show premiered now, and when the show premiered, then it takes place in 1977. All the illegal things I've been doing are legal now. Getting easily irritated by hit songs repeated every 5 minutes on the radio, when walking in clothing stores and in parties. Ultra sugary foods and drinks make me easily sick, even by just looking at the picture of it. Easily irritated by people who bullcrap in every word or sentence. Teenagers in general. Boomers think they know everything when they are the ones responsible for destroying the economy, housing, work opportunities, and the climate. Corporations are soulless. Also forgot people who don't use correct grammar or spelling as adults. You start becoming that shield that you never got. You start to notice the cars parked in front of your house, then wonder why the hell they're parking in front of your house. Younger women in their 20s and 30s don't look at me the same way. There are many, many mornings when I wake up and my back is absolutely killing me. My knees. Ow. You start getting numerical candles for the decade on your birthday cake instead of individual candles for each year. My hands. I never took pictures of my hands before, obviously, but I can very vividly remember when the skin of my hands wasn't so tight and wrinkled. Not sag and liver spots yet, but my hands look like my mother's hands. It's very strange, plus they hurt and lock up like old lady hands. Sorry, what was the question again? When registering for things on site and they ask you to fill in your date of birth and you gotta scroll down a ton to find the year that you were born. Feels bad, man. $10,000 is still a lot of money, but it's also not a lot of money. Reading glasses. No matter where I am, I want to go home. When sitting in a chair with your heels up or the seat next to your rear, knees bent, like you've done your whole life, somehow causes debilitating pain for the next 3 months. I saw a kid running around in my front yard the other day. I caught myself wanting to go yell at him. I quickly realized he was just playing. Who cares? What am I, some old codger? It's coming fast. Much faster than I would like. All of a sudden, you can't eat Chinese food, pizza, and midnight snacks, hit the gym, and maintain a healthy weight. Your body takes more planning and effort to keep in shape. To be fair, the only time I could do this was when I was a teenager. Once I was in my early 20s, I had to stay clean diet-wise in addition to working out in order to keep myself from putting on too much weight. So not much different than today at 31. Your body betrays you with aches and pains and things going wrong, and nobody looks at their age anymore. Can't tell the difference between 20s and 30s and 40s. It sucks, but it's better than the alternative. After sitting still for a long period of time, standing and walking involves shambling about like a zombie. You're fine after seconds of movement, but initially nothing works right. You're reading to this thread and nodding along. Chronic health issues start popping up. You tell your doctor and they either tell you, yep, sorry, that's your life now, or they might prescribe something that can control the symptoms so long as you take it for the rest of your life. Music on the radio is not only completely trash, but each song is utterly indistinguishable from the next. Not being able to put on your shoes standing up, not being able to put on your shoes sitting down, opting for the laceless ones you just step into and wiggle a bit. I've given up trying to understand modern pop culture. I know enough to be able to understand what my kids are currently into, and that's it. When your former schoolmates are on Facebook celebrating their birth of their grandkids. My mom asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said, I need a vacuum. I think the biggest one was watching friendships drift apart for no apparent reason. No big fights, no big disagreements. That never happened to me while I was in high school. Not getting speeding tickets anymore because I'll get there when I get there. Or, I know my car is faster, but I have no reason to prove it to you. My parents rely on me more than I rely on them. All these weird aches and pains. Ear hair, bushy eyebrows, erectile dysfunction. You go from being bored to never having fully enough time for yourself. When you bend over to pick something up and accidentally let out a little fart, that wasn't a fart, it was your spine. Guess what? You've just thrown out your back. Can't eat an entire tub of ice cream in one sitting. Thanks for watching until the end. Do you have an example you'd like to give? Please do so in the comments below. Then be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you know when our next video is available. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.